Eric Bakker, naturopath. Thank you for looking at this video. We're going to talk about the pros and cons of enemas. Many people have contacted me over the years to ask to do videos on enemas, and well, I haven't had the time because I've been making many other video topics, but I'm not a huge fan of enemas, to be honest. I have recommended them many times over the years to various patients, particularly people who had ongoing bowel problems, and in some cases it's really helped people become unstuck, but in other cases it's created dependency and all kinds of problems. So the probably three issues I really have with enemas in terms of the cons. I'll talk about what I feel is the bad side first. One is the dependency, because I've had several clients who became highly dependent on enemas that were using them almost daily, for years on end. So you need to be very careful of the dependency that can occur with them. The second point I don't really like is the disruption of the microflora, because your bowel really doesn't want to be washed out like constantly, regularly, all the time. Some of the patients I've seen over years really amaze me at how many hundreds and hundreds of enemas they've had, completed on themselves, and still have had constant bowel problems, but they keep going with these enemas, not thinking that they're actually, kicking themselves up the butt every day by doing these things. So there's use and abuse of them and the dependency part I'm talking about, but there's also the microflora imbalance. So in some cases, I've seen people get steadily worse over years using enemas, doing home enemas like coffee enemas, and basically wiping out the bacteria. So what I started doing was keeping quite a few test reports in a particular file and just looking at them and being amazed at how low the beneficial counts of the bacteria were in the stool tests from people who were doing repeated enemas. I did find a correlation with people doing them every now and then, every several months, to find not much difference in the beneficial bacteria, but people who were using them all the time with the coffee enemas, the bacteria was going down, and even though mentioning that to people and showing that, they would still continue on with the enemas. So that's the dependency part. The third component I'm not happy with is the electrolyte disturbances, because if you use fleet enemas, for example, that you're putting a suppository in the rectal area with sodium, I think it's sodium phosphate they use. So of course this creates an osmotic imbalance, so it's going to draw water out of the colon wall, create more liquid in there, and therefore make the stools looser and excrete them. But it can cause a problem, with electrolytes, potassium, sodium in the body. You've got to be careful with people if using fleet all the time too, because you can get problems. On the pro side of the enemas, I've certainly seen benefits with people, but these are people who thought very carefully about the enemas and then went to a proper colon therapist and had this procedure done professionally. I've got a few friends in New Zealand I know, but also I've got a good friend in Plymouth, in England, who's a top colon therapist, hydrotherapist. So these are professional people who've been trained, who know exactly what they're doing. And they also work very specifically with the diet, with the person going through that procedure. They do abdominal massage, they've got a professional setup, they're very hygienic. These people are pros, they know what they're doing. So to me, you might not like this, but to me it's a little bit like trying to adjust your own back, trying to pretend you're your own chiropractor or something like that, when you should be going to someone who's darn good. Be very, very careful, people, with enemas, because you can create a lot of problems. Particularly the one I don't like is the repetitive enemas that people do, sometimes like daily or weekly for years on end, seemingly, to try and clear the gut from toxins. It just doesn't work like that, There's a lot more to it than just, cleaning out that end and thinking it's all going to be good. Just be very careful, If you do want to get an enema, talk to a colon therapist, or preferably if you are going to do enemas, have some skill set and experience in knowing exactly about the procedure, when to do it, when not to do it, etc. Just be careful. Thanks for tuning in.